Hi, good afternoon. I wanted to try and put this into a little bit of context with regards to this talk. And I'm a VC, so therefore we have the obligatory disclaimer that has to be put up on the screen before we jump into it. But I was having a conversation with actually one of my teenage sons the other day, which was just asking the perennial why. Why do you do what you do? And that is actually, one of the questions we ask ourselves as venture capitalists on a consistent basis. And it's about how can we, at Octopus, help unleash progress? And the way in which we go about that is finding those groups of entrepreneurs who we would describe as unusually talented in, whether it's the dorm room, whether it's at the incubators, as they've started to build their businesses. Unusually talented who are daring to think big in order to create change. And that is essentially what we as venture capitalists do. And then the question comes is, well, how is the venture capitalist helping the entrepreneur and the team that they're backing? And the simple, easy answer is to think of the money that's provided. But if I think about that, and we invest about $150 million US dollars a year into early stage tech in Europe, looking for those unusually talented entrepreneurs to build those global businesses. But money for the best entrepreneurs should just be a commodity. So what are the other things that you can do as a VC in order to assist those teams in their development? And for us, we think about defining moments. What are those sort of high five moments when we nailed it? This is working. It could be product launches. It could be hiring somebody else into the team who's going to make a fundamental difference, a new CMO, for instance. Or it could be that international expansion. That's what I want to come on and talk about. We're a London-based VC. We have an office in New York, and we have operations here in Singapore and also in Shanghai. We don't invest in New York or Asia. We are there purely to help our teams and the entrepreneurs go and expand into those regions. And it's that sort of concept of how do you help the entrepreneur be great? We don't do it. There's many entrepreneurs in the audience. You are the people who go out and do that. If you think your VC is going to do it for you, don't. It's how can they help and enable you to be great, and how can they provide the platform for that expansion? So what we look at is we think about regions. We think about Europe as a region in its distinct aspects. So a company may be founded in Germany or in the UK. How is it addressing that market initially? And then what's the expansion plan out through the rest of the territory? So launch in the UK, establish your presence, prove the case, prove the product, then expand out into the Nordics, down into Germany, into France, and across Europe. I think that's probably pretty similar to what you find in Asia. Maybe it's launching in Singapore, thinking how are we addressing the Malay market, how are we then addressing Thailand, Indonesia, before you think about the wider picture with regards to global businesses. European entrepreneurs, though, look west. The first immediate reaction is then to look towards the US. Everything I've heard today would seem to replicate that, with Asian entrepreneurs thinking, where's my next step after I've looked at my own region here? Could be China. But what I've heard today is a lot of it is then looking straight to the US. And that's quite an interesting subject because, I say Europe, and I still think of myself as European, despite being British, and we're still in Europe today. But it's how do you expand there? And the common misconception is that the US speaks the same language as we do in the UK and Europe. It simply isn't the case. We run courses on how to speak American to our entrepreneurs. Ironically, if you think about Asian entrepreneurs, you think about European entrepreneurs, they face many of the same challenges as you expand across your own region. Different language, different culture, different laws in the jurisdictions. And there's so many little hiccups that can occur when you go to the US. So, by way of example, sales tax. Now, it actually isn't a huge problem if you get your sales tax as you go state by state, actually wrong. But the problem of it is that you're going to get a class action lawsuit hit you. So how are you actually thinking about that? So starting to understand the regions and the different aspects of the regions is really, really important. And the US is very different to other markets. So for us, being a European VC, we'll challenge our entrepreneurs, saying, why are you looking at the US first? Why West? If you look at the consumer markets that exist in Asia, why aren't you considering coming here? And I would throw the same challenge back to you as Asian entrepreneurs, saying, why are you immediately looking to the US? What's the opportunity that you can have in Europe? So just looking a little bit with regards to the ecosystem. When I hear in Singapore, Hong Kong, across Southeast Asia, it's a developing ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem. That's the same in Europe. We're not going to out-Californian the Californians. They do some stuff exceptionally well in the Valley. But where are the areas that we can compete? And if you look at the growth of the ecosystems that's occurred over the last few years, you're seeing that occur in Europe. You have, in Europe, amazing universities with cutting-edge research coming out. And actually, the European universities have been really, really poor at how they commercialize some of that technology and know-how. Whether it's Oxford, whether it's Cambridge, if you look at something like artificial intelligence up in Edinburgh, or graphene coming out of Manchester, where you've got Nobel Prize-winning scientists there. Actually, how is it being developed? But that provides an opportunity to access talent. And similarly, when I say don't try and out California the Californians, look at particular sectors. So what do you have in London is you have a world-leading financial center. So financial technology business, if you're not in London, why not? That's an area you need to address. But we've also seen the growth of engineers. I mean, there are now 4.7 million engineers in Europe, and that compares to just 4.1 million with regards to the States. It's harder to find them because those 4.1 are concentrated into a number of the large big tech businesses. But that opportunity is there. And you've also seen the development in specific areas. So you think about artificial intelligence. US big tech has made a series of acquisitions with regards to artificial intelligence. Google purchased DeepMind. You had Microsoft purchasing SwiftKey. You had Twitter purchasing Magic Pony. There's also Apple purchasing Vocal IQ. And they've left the teams in situ in the UK and London. So that draws more talent with regards to artificial intelligence. And as a result, you're starting to see then the spin-off benefit as the next group of entrepreneurs come out from those businesses to develop further. So what opportunities does that provide to you as you see new teams starting to create new businesses who you can partner with. But also with regards to deep tech, the fields of virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, it's, for us, we think augmented reality is going to be a massive space. And that technology exists in the UK. So how can you start to address that and across Europe? The other aspect you've seen, and we're just starting to see in Europe, acquisition by Asian companies. At the end of last year, C-Trip came in and paid $1.4 billion for Skyscanner. Generates the next wave of serial entrepreneurs to create the next set of businesses. Just last week, SoftBank announced a $500 million investment into a business called Improbable, which is building virtual worlds with regards to virtual reality. So you're starting to see Asian investors, whereas we've always seen the US investors, or US corporate, come and purchase businesses in Europe. And that's a huge opportunity. We haven't seen the same valuations or the same growth, and you've had the building of real businesses, real revenues, real profits within Europe. So what does this kind of mean for Asian entrepreneurs who are looking to expand beyond their own region to whether the US or indeed into Europe? It's understand what you're getting into. Don't rush with regards to timing. Go and do your research associated with it. Time and time again, we see this sort of drift to saying, I've got to be in the US. And we'd really challenge that and question, why is that the case? It may seem scary to go to a region with multi-geography, multi-language, different cultures. But actually, if that's what you're already used to, isn't that then providing you with a competitive advantage? Let's not forget that US companies coming to these regions often have to struggle with those challenges, often with the tech. They have to completely rebuild the tech. It can't deal with different languages. So that can provide a real competitive advantage. Timing, access to talent, those are all critical. So if you're looking at the fashion world or building out city by city, you can see how Europe fits that mix. But as I sort of, had relayed this, and as I started, was saying that this was all a conversation that I was having with my teenage son of, well, why do you kind of do what you do? He kind of said, Dad, look, I thought you were going to say because it was fun. And actually, I think we as venture investors backing those exceptionally talented entrepreneurs who have that vision to dare and think big and create change is the most wonderful job in the world. And if we can see those real defining moments of growth, of expansion, then that's hugely satisfying to us. So thank you for all the entrepreneurs in the room for providing us with the opportunity to work with you, because we recognize it's you that go out and do it, not us as just the investor. Thank you very much.